Hey there guys, it's Alex here. First off, I just want to say thank you all so much for getting me to 3,000 subscribers. The love and support on the channel recently has just been immense and it genuinely means the world to me, so thank you. In return, I want to create quality content for you guys, so please stick around if you enjoy this video, as there'll be much more coming in the future. Cheers. In 1926, an army of women lined the streets of Manhattan to catch a glimpse of Rudolph Valentino's coffin. The actor, unlike the masculine action heroes of the past like Wallace Reed and John Barrymore, was not interpreted as an athlete or a brute. As the film historian Galen Studler points out, he was seen as a decadent, sexy specimen who confirmed the increasing effeminacy of men. He was a lover, not an action hero, photographed in scarves and shiny jewellery with a slender frame. However, this feminine portrayal of the protagonist would change drastically over the course of a century. The physique now associated with Hollywood productions is far from effeminate. With the rise of superhero movies in the 21st century, viewers have been consistently exposed to eye-catching bodies. These movies do not simply present bulky, muscle-bound frames, but simultaneously show ripped and vascular bodies. Take Ben Affleck's 2016 portrayal of Batman in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Standing at 6'4", weighing over 100 kilograms and possessing a body fat percentage of just 7%, this shift from the lover of the 1920s to the action hero of the 2010s is undeniable. But does this change truly highlight a major shift in society's perception of the ideal male physique? After all, these actors are ultimately playing superheroes who are meant to have unattainable otherworldly bodies according to the comic books. Well, if we rewind to 1966, the first TV episode of Batman was about to air. The audience was instantly confronted with a slightly pot-bellied, averagely built Adam West. To modern viewers, this depiction of Batman is almost silly and comical. And it wasn't just a case of the average build being viewed as the symbol of masculinity at the time. One of the standout actors of the period, Steve McQueen, showcased a relatively muscular physique in many of his roles. It does beg the question, if an actor like Adam West could portray a strong, respected superhero like Batman in the 60s, then how the hell have we become transfixed on the requirement to look massive before even stepping foot on set as an action hero? In my opinion, it was the first Rocky film, released in 1976, that truly set the wheels in motion that being buff was an essential trait of a protagonist. In the backdrop of the Cold War and with the Vietnam War fresh in the memory, it was considered paramount for a man to be physically capable in order to protect the Western world. Rocky IV was a watershed moment for this narrative. The Russian, Ivan Drago, was the core example of brute strength, boasting one of the greatest physiques ever seen at the time. Rocky, the American hero, needed to be in incredible shape for audiences to believe he had a chance of defeating the Soviet. However, Hollywood's pursuit of physical male perfection marked the turning point in the average person's ability to emulate their hero's physique. Sylvester Stallone's admission of taking HGH gintropin, although not a direct steroid, marked the beginning of Hollywood's flirtation with performance enhancers. Steroid usage had been prevalent throughout the athletic world in the 1960s and 70s. However, largely due to films like Rocky and Rambo, the 1980s saw anabolic androgenic steroids spill out into the general population. This is obviously a big assumption when considering that factors like the rise in bodybuilding could have been a cause. But regardless, it was becoming more and more clear that to look like a Hollywood action hero, you'd need a helping hand. The late 80s and early 1990s saw a spate of action films starring recognisable martial artists like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris. Although it's difficult to state outright that these fighter physiques were aided by PED use, the emergence of these movies signalled a rise in the macho masculine role. The hero needed to be physically capable and strong, with the ability to fight and overcome the evil opposition. Gone were the days in which protagonists like Burt Ward's Robin were depicted as scrawny and small. Just before the turn of the 21st century, Fight Club was released, in which Brad Pitt captured the attention of the world with his washboard abs and toned muscles. There has been a substantial discussion amongst viewers as to whether Pitt's body transformation was done naturally. What is not up for discussion is the marked effect Pitt's physique had on young males around the globe. Tyler Durden sat at around 5% body fat in the film, which, as highlighted by Farron Morgan, the founder of The Tactical Athlete, led to this rock-solid look that left personal trainers obsessed and the fitness industry hooked. Heck, even today people are still obsessing on TikTok. But is this really such a bad thing? Aren't Hollywood encouraging men to get into better shape? Well, the problem was that Fox never released Pitt's workout plan, instead later admitting that it was the actor's constant smoking that left him looking so lean. Unsurprisingly, when young people tried to emulate this physique, it would lead to psychological problems, body dysmorphia, and eating disorders. This idea was corroborated by a few studies carried out after the film's release. Tyler Durden's body wasn't healthy, it was just aesthetic. The last 20 years has seen an explosion in the production of superhero films, and with it, the increase of unattainable buff physiques. In 2000, Hugh Jackman appeared as Wolverine in X-Men. Unfortunately, Jackman's transformation acts as a microcosm of the darker side of Hollywood. His 2000 physique was admirable, 2003 was impressive, and 2014 was just ridiculous, especially when considering he was 46 years old. It is well documented that a man's total testosterone declines as he ages, so it does appear strange for Jackman to show off his prime physique when close to 50. Regardless of his potential natural status, one dark trick deployed in much of these action films is water deprivation. For Logan in 2017, Jackman would stop drinking anything 36 hours before shooting to appear dry and exceedingly ripped. It was good that Jackman admitted to this, as well as highlighting the dangers, as a level of dehydration can cause kidney damage and heat exhaustion. The overarching theme here is that many of these Hollywood superstars who are viewed as role models deploy radical tactics to show off a body that is inherently unhealthy. When it becomes apparent to people that simply eating chicken, broccoli and brown rice 7 times a day will not give them a superhero physique, then psychological issues can start. Non-disclosure agreements are synonymous within the film industry. Actors are contracted to reveal as little as possible, especially since it's illegal to supply anabolics to people. But the issue is that Hollywood need an alibi for these rapid transformations, otherwise people will likely put 2 and 2 together. Through compelling actors to state that 2 workouts a day and copious amounts of chicken, broccoli and rice achieved the substantial results, Hollywood have found a plausible lie that just about cultivates the requisite facade. Now don't get me wrong, the Marvel and DC franchises have probably inspired millions of people to improve their physiques through exercising. But when the general population are given unrealistic expectations from a constant exposure to short-term drastic body transformations, they are likely to remain entirely unsatisfied by their own results. This can spiral into significant long-term issues. A study from 2018 found that between 28 and 68% of adolescent and college men of normal weight perceived themselves as underweight, reporting a desire to increase their muscle mass. If these men were to start working out and not see their expected results, then it is possible that some may feel compelled to adopt unhealthy dieting or take steroids. Ultimately, the ambiguity surrounding many of the superhero transformations has left a dangerous void. For example, Chris Hemsworth's transformation into Thor has been hugely marketable. Center App was launched with the primary appeal being that Hemsworth's team would provide you with a program to make a rapid transformation similar to Thor's. Men's Health also harvested this concept, getting Hemsworth's personal trainer to explain his usual workout, which effectively boiled down to doing goblet squats with a 12-kilogram dumbbell. The Center App boasts over 700,000 subscribers and has just been sold for $200 million. Now, without getting bogged down in the natty or not debate over Chris Hemsworth's physique, what I will say is this. In the comic books, Thor stands at 6'6" and weighs 640 pounds, so Hemsworth needed to be a serious presence on screen. Regardless of the PED thesis, Hemsworth stated that he was eating 8 meals a day consisting of protein sources like steak, chicken and fish, as well as training twice a day to achieve the physique required. So, using this image of Hemsworth as a marketing tool seems regressive, as the average person would not have the resources or time to dedicate to following such a regime. There are so many more knowledgeable fitness professionals that could offer realistic programs and better advice, but Hollywood ultimately provides actors with a springboard regarding fitness pedigree, which they don't necessarily deserve as they've had the best trainers and had money at their disposal. It appears beyond reasonable doubt that Hollywood utilised steroids in order to improve the entertainment value of its productions and receive the highest possible profit yield. Over the years, Hollywood have gradually cultivated the notion of the ideal masculine protagonist, which has often dictated the trends surrounding how men view themselves and their bodies. People have universally admired the muscular statues of ancient Grecians, comic book superheroes, and brave champions. So Hollywood's extreme methods to ensure their actors meet the required standards is understandable. But the lack of transparency and general bullshit advice has left people confused, upset, and increasingly turning to unhealthy habits to emulate what they see on the screen. By all means, use these actors as motivation to get in shape, but please don't take what they say as the unshakable truth.